What's going on, YouTube fam? It's been a few days. Just give you all a quick update on what's been going on with the car. So it's been fine actually, but I've been retuning the car for the past few days and stuff. So you know, a lot of times, you know, you get into building a car, and you know, a lot of people don't like talk about, like, you know, like tuning process and what goes on into that. But so I'm gonna just give you like a quick idea of what's involved and what's like really going on. So initially, I think I mentioned in one of my videos before that I was running the 450 wall bar pump initially, and it was running out of fuel on E at a high RPM. So tuner said, okay, get the 525, you know, hardwired. So I did that. Tuner is admin, by the way, admin tuning. So 525, got the car, you know, dialed in. It was looking a little better. Still, you know, making about 14 pounds of boost, revving to like 7,700 RPM. Still having, you know, just leaning out a little bit more, you know, than we're comfortable with. So we're like, okay, right around E60, it's fine on E60. It's once I get above, like, you know, E70 plus ethanol content, that's when it starts to lean out. Fine. E60 is still, you know, it's still making a lot of jam, that power. So another issue too, we initially started out with the fuel pressure. So yeah, another thing too, when you get like a pump, like a wall bar pump, AEM, whatever pump you're using, look up the flow chart for the pump. So initially we started off with a base fuel pressure of like 50 psi, which was, we want to say, a little bit, you know, too high to begin with. Providing that the pump flows 478 liters per hour at like about 35 psi. Now another thing too, you might hear other people might mention, like the supercharged car versus a turbocharged G. Oh, they would have been fine with this setup right now. The fuel setup I'm running with the 525 hardwired and 1300 cc injectors. A guy, you know, a turbocharged G or Z would be doing fine. Wouldn't have any fueling issues, a whole bunch. The supercharger, however, every year they're saying it takes power to make power. So, you know, because it's driven by the engine, so, you know, it's a lot more load you put on the engine, hence why the supercharged engine needs so much more fuel in. So so yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. So it's just trying to keep up. So the goal is for like probably next year, because it's running pretty good right now, like strong still, but keeping it around E60. So the goals for next year is probably just to put a dual pump setup in the tank. You know, unlike the Z's and stuff, I think CJM, they make like the twin pump setup for the 370Zs or whatever, all the Z cars, but not so much for the G's. There's not really much out there for the G37 sedan. So admin is saying they have a company that, you know, starting to work on something, or they have already built something for that. So building up twin pump setup for the G. So I'll probably get that from him next year to drop in there. So fast forward, so like I was saying, you know, we started off with a high base pressure of like 50 psi. So on boost, so what happens when you have a fuel return system with an external fuel pressure regulator, that little vacuum hose that goes through the regulator is to raise fuel pressure. So it raises it 1-to-1 by however amount of boost you're running. So say I'm making 14 pounds of boost, base pressure is 50 psi. So you add the 14 pounds of boost to the 50 psi already base fuel pressure, so that's 64. So your fuel pressure is bumped up to 64 psi while under boost. So that's how the fuel pressure regulator, external regulator, is beneficiary when, you know, you're making power. So, but yeah, so starting off high. So and when you look on the flow chart for the 525, like I was saying initially, 35 psi, it flows about 478 liters per hour. Excuse me. When you add that boost and the pressure raises to the 64, like I'm saying, when it was at a 50 psi base pressure, now the pump having to work, the flow decreases as the pressure increases in the fuel system. If you understand what I'm saying. Remember I said the boost is, you know, 1-to-1. Once you get on boost, the base pressure now raises to the boost in the manifold that goes to the regulator and causes a increase in the fuel pressure. So now the pump, if you look on the flow chart, at about 60 psi, 64, the 525 pump is starting to fall off. So initially I said at 35 psi it flows 478 liters per hour. At 64 psi it's under 400, so it's like 390 something liters per hour. So you can see how it's like, you know, it will cause like a leaning out condition at high RPMs, which is what's going on. So we decided to just leave it here. So yeah, retuned, dropped it to 35. So now when I hit boost, max boost of about 14 psi, it goes to like right about 50 instead. So it was a little bit more happier there. Still kind of like on full E, revving to. So actually before I had limited the RPMs to like about 75-50, because you know the supercharger builds boost the more you rev it. So I limited the RPMs to 75-50 because I wanted to keep boost around 12-13 max. So revving it to 77, you know, I'm seeing about 14 psi. So actuality, lowering the fuel pressure to 35, if I wanted to actually run full boost, I mean full E85, I could just drop the RPM limit to, you know, 75-50, just 50 more over stock, so I won't rev as much and then I won't make as much boost, and then I can run full E. But it feels real good to rev the car, you know, to 77, I'm not gonna lie. So it's fine. Like I said, E60 I can run probably up to 65% ethanol and be okay. And like I said, that is plenty. Still, the car is making quite a bit of jime there, you know, light up second and, you know, haze in third sometimes if it's light. Now when it's real cold out, best time so far, like since the retune I've been doing like draggy testing, show you the improvement. Like I've been doing like 981 was the best one, the first tune I've gotten out of it, and then I retuned it. It got to like a 942, 60 to 130, and now like just yesterday morning, I wish I had it in video mode. I just had it on the regular time mode, so I don't have the video to show it, but I have the printout. I did 894, 60 to 130, and that's moving pretty decent. That's moving pretty decent. And I feel like that can get better too, because, you know, I had like the AC, the compressor was running, you know, that's a little bit more load on the engine. I forgot to turn the traction control lights, so I mean, like I said, I was spinning a little bit in second. So I think I can improve on that. But yeah, just some little things like when you're building a car, you know, you're gonna boost, you gotta take all those things into consideration. Like, you know, air fuel ratios, that's another thing I mentioned, leaning out. Air fuel ratios, you want to be around full bolt on on E85 or an NA setup. For you NA guys, most times when they tune it, they lean it out to about, you know, 2.75 is where they try to keep them air fuel ratio on an NA setup. And then, you know, with E, when you go E2, you know, because E is a little bit resistant to knock, you can get away with sometime. I mean, you still want to keep it at 275, but you can get away with a little bit of, like, you know, right around 2.9, 13. You lean out a little bit, because, you know, the E85 just makes the injured runs happier. Now force forward with boost, I'm pretty sure like with boost you want 11 and a half, 11. Well, for turbo car, I guess they're saying the supercharge on like my setup, you can lean it out a little bit more, like so more like, you know, 1718 target, but you want to stay under like 12. So when I mentioned I was leaning out, that's what was happening. I was leaning out to like 12.2 or whatever. And under some conditions it may kind of be, you know, that's pushing it. I don't want to I'll keep staying on the 12. On the 12 is where I like to see it. So that's why I'm just gonna I could tell too the car was like overworking, because when I had like what 75% ethanol like just a couple days ago, I just went and put 4 gallons of gas in there so the content would drop down. You can see it on the phone right here, so it's at 60%. So before it was saying like 75, so I put 4 gallons of fuel in there, and it dropped the ethanol content down. So but yeah, and it's running pretty strong on E60. That 894 60 to 130 was on. It was pretty cool out yesterday morning, and it was on the E60. Feels real good. So we're gonna leave it there. It's next year probably just dual pump, and then maybe the 9 psi pulleys. I'll make a little bit more boost. Oh, we'll see. Or maybe just do the dual pump upgrade and just keep the pulley like it is, the 8 psi, since I'm making that much more boost. And the thing is, I'm making this boost with the filter still on. The filter is supposedly supposed to be restrictive, but I'm actually making a lot of boost with the filter still on, so it will flow better and it will make more boost actuality if I take the filter off. So I should probably be able to take the filter off, run the turbo guard, and yeah, be okay. Should be making some jams. I'm trying to get to the track. Supposed to get to the track this weekend, so that 11s, it's definitely got 11s now. From my improving on the 0 to 60, you know, like I said, the best was a 9.8, and now I'm in the I did a 894 like yesterday morning. So the 11s is definitely there now. Just as long as I get my shifts on point and leave the line pretty good, 11s, 11.9, maybe an 11.8. Let's see this weekend.